Now, knowing, Jennifer, you are an executive coach and you have experienced so much with coaching and helping other leaders grow, this really triggered a thought, and it's related to Sherlock Super Coach, is that for a lot of young employees, in particular, Gen Z and young millennials, there really isn't a ton of opportunity for them to be coached at that human level, whether it's budget or time or resources. So we're wondering, how do you envision AI-empowered coaching shaping the future of work and the development of employee skills and capabilities?
I think, again, it's an opportunity for employees to have their own little angel on their shoulder, kind of saying, here's an idea based off what you're doing or what you're working on or what you've said you're interested in. These would be some suggested learnings for you. These are some skills that would be great for you to develop. Here's some suggested activities for you to take on. So just as a coach would do, maybe in conversations, drawing out, what are your interests? What are you learning now? What do you want to learn? And then how can we craft an action plan around that? I think an AI coach can help with that as well, helping those young people, or even, again, I think a lot more the older workforce has many of the same goals as the younger workforce, but certainly the younger workforce coming in is more digitally enabled because they've had cell phones and the ability to ask Google since they were born, So they are that kind of I want instant answers mindset. So I think, even with a coach, you have to schedule an appointment, or maybe you only talk to them once a week or every couple of weeks, or maybe once a month. An AI coach could be ever present. And I think the younger generations really expect that in their daily lives because they are able to get instant answers. They're able to use an app for everything. They're able to have food delivered to their door and their groceries delivered to their door. Everything is digitally enabled about how they navigate the world. So bringing that into the workplace and their career development, I think totally makes sense to have that ability to say, it's 8 p.m. at night and I've been watching TikToks all night, but I saw something that interested me about my career. I'm going to go into this app where I have an AI coach and get a suggestion on how I could learn that skill. That's really powerful. Again, that kind of 24/7 instant access that AI tools and digital tools provide us. And so I think that's a real opportunity for the future.
I like when you mentioned about the trigger and when notifications are there for good reasons, such as when I use Sherlock, as well as I think about other meditation apps, and they're always a trigger notification. For instance, at 8 p.m., do you want to stretch your legs a bit? Do you want to take a moment for yourself to breathe? And that reminder has actually been very helpful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, as you said, I have an app that reminds me every morning at 10 a.m. to take my vitamins. And I have a streak in that app, and I'm very protective of my streak. I take my vitamins with me everywhere on the road because I want to be honest when I say that I took them so I can keep my streak. The streaks in apps, things like that. As I said, younger generations are especially wired that way. So having tools that give us notifications, streaks, badges, gamification, all of that makes learning more fun for everyone, but also helps you to be a little bit more present. It's one thing, again, to go to a conference and attend a great session and maybe take some notes, which people don't do these days. They take pictures of slides, et cetera. I'm a speaker, so it's a validating thing to see a bunch of cell phones come up and take pictures of my slides. But then I wonder, after the conference, do people actually go back and review those slides and capture what they want to do to take action on that? So anything that we can do to not only make people aware of something, but prompt action, I think is very helpful.
That's such a great example, Jennifer, because I've worked with a number of coaches and speakers in the past number of years. And one of the things I hear constantly is after speaking, they would like to leave an app or some sort of program behind where, whether it's at a conference or for a company, people continue to reflect and be able to check things off, be able to reflect the questions that was presented. And that's a really good point.
Yeah, I want people to take action. It's great to be able to travel around the world and to speak to audiences and hopefully inspire them to create change. And many people, they come up afterwards and they're like, oh, what you said was so exciting to me. I'm really excited to go back to the workplace. And then, again, I've been that same person. You go back to the workplace and your notes maybe get buried, or again, if you didn't take notes or you put them in your phone, you don't ever look at it again. So how can I, as a coach and as a speaker, help you actually implement what you learned, help you stay present with thinking about how you can develop that skill or create that strategy in your organization, and maybe even in some ways provide coaching to you. So I think a lot of speakers and coaches are thinking about, how can I extend the learning from the content and the ideas that I share in person or through training courses, et cetera? And how can I help you actually implement it? Because it's great to have people want to hear what you have to say, but the real goal for me is to actually create change.
My question is, with any sort of app adoption, we've seen it succeeded and failed, at least in my experience, even though it's quite limited, 10 years in corporate. And I've ever since, became an entrepreneur. But what are some of the things, Jennifer, have you noticed, or do you encourage organizations do to support the adoption of anything new? And in this case, an AI app?
Sure. I think one of those, again, is removing friction. Having spent many years in corporate, and now I have a son who's in the corporate world. And so I'm constantly talking to him about this. Use an example of an EAP program, or programs that companies offer where maybe they have mental health benefits or financial planning benefits, that's captured under this EAP. Well, as an HR person, usually every year you do an annual open enrollment and for the benefits, and you say, okay, here's the book of all your benefits that you get. Most people don't use the EAP because they're not thinking about it. They're not aware of what it can do. Mm-hmm. What you can do as an organization is find stories, maybe get your executives to be vulnerable about how they've used the EAP. My child was struggling with, well, you probably didn't want to bring your child in. My wife and I had issues in our marriage early on, and she's given me permission to talk about this. And we used the EAP to access, benefits where we could do that. Maybe it doesn't have to be that personal, but, like in the coaching example, having people share their stories. As I said earlier, storytelling is powerful, but storytelling with data. So we've got, we're certainly going to be looking at utilization of the app if we've bought it for our company and how many people are using it, but get some stories, probably voluntarily, from people who are using the app and how it's benefited them, and share that so that it triggers people to think, I'd really like to get more coaching and support. And I heard, this person that works in the same organization that I did use this app that we provide. I should check that out. And then also probably, if again, the company is encouraging its use or paying for it, checking in with people and saying, how is it working for you? What's your experience been like? Are you getting what you need from the app? What can we do to make it more useful for you? So whether that's anonymous surveys, or again, if you're able to talk with people personally, have them share what's working, what's not working, and why they like it, what they don't. And then maybe you can share those aggregate results. 90% of the people who use the app say that it helps them to really focus on growing their career. 87% of the people that use the app say it's helpful to be able to access 24/7 learning opportunities. Regular communication about, whether it's benefits or the apps that you're using or the tools that you have, about the benefits of using those is what prompts people to use them. Dropping the book of the EAP and the benefits on people once a year, or now it's just sent digitally that they never open. They don't think about it when they need it because they're not aware of what it can do or who it's helped or how it could help them.
Fantastic. This kind of triggered me to think about adoption for any sort of app, small meditation. I have friends who are developing meditation apps. In this case, it's Sherlock SuperCoach. It's a really powerful tool that basically at a high level teaches you about, your left brain, your right brains, your primary modality of communication. And for me too, I'm more abstract and I'm an entrepreneur, but I may fall short in these areas. And by the way, here are the things, and even how to change up your questions. And when these stressful moments happen, catch your response in that and try this instead. That's kind of what Sherlock SuperCoach is about. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you find it helpful. We'll soon be back with our next podcast. In the meantime, please share this episode with your friends and colleagues.